welcome to the Cigar Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Smokin' Joe, and we have a guest host that's not either Brad or Amanda. We have Corey from the Fuzzy Wallflower. Is that your YouTube channel?
The Fuzzy Wallflower. You know, because drunken introvert was too weird to call it.
It's probably already taken. That was trademarked.
Plus, it's Corey, C-O-R-Y, your favorite four-letter word, or at least one of your top 10.
And, go check out his channel because we made some cocktails to go with this episode we're doing.
The High Table.
So, what am I smoking this week? I have the Alec Bradley Black Market Illicit. I mean, that sounded something to go with the topic that we're going to be talking about. This has a Nicaraguan Maduro wrapper with a Honduran and Nicaraguan binder and Nicaraguan fillers.
Well, I guess this is the first time I'm smoking one in a few years after a little new dental work with my...
Yeah, because this one's supposed to be pretty strong, so yeah, you may not want to... If it's been a while, that one's a little bit milder. It's not that they're mildest, but it's definitely not like super, super strong, so that...
What is it, the Macanudo Inspirado?
Ease you back in.
I don't know if I should say this. The first time I had a Macanudo was not, I guess, when the embargo was still on.
You got like a OG Macanudo.
Yeah. I won't say how it got here. Well, maybe the statute of limitations is over.
It was Keister stash. Someone had it in their prison wallet.
Someone, yes, I did. That and a Romeo and Juliet at the time. But that was early 90s, man.
The only like legit Cubans that I've had a Cohiba, and I had a Romeo and Julieta that was legitimate Cuban back in the day. And because all of like the original Cuban manufacturers left to go to like the Dominican and Nicaragua, so it's most of the stuff that's non-Cuban is better than Cuban, because it's all government run factories, and anything government run, you know how that usually ends up.
Well, and a lot of that probably is just like wine and alcohol or anything else where sometimes it's the mystique of it.
Yeah,
it's Cuban.
You can't get it, so it makes it popular. But I do say that the surprising thing about their tobacco is what would appear visually to be a lighter cigar tends to be pretty strong. Where like,
okay.
In most markets, it's like, all right, if it's a darker colored cigar, you usually expect it to be a little bit stronger. And if it's a lighter colored cigar, you expect it to be lighter. But with like a Cuban, I'm like, oh, this is like going to be fairly light. And then I'm like, oh, I'm lightheaded. This is like strong as shit.
It's kind of like Everclear, right?
It's like, yeah,
it's clear. It'll be fine.
It's like don't judge a book by its cover. Like I literally did that, and it kind of bit me in the ass. But
so yes, this is my virgin cigar for the first time in probably 2 or 3 years. So
yeah, this is my first cigar in about 3 hours.
You better have good insurance in your...
Yeah, I got a checkup there. And the doctor's like, "Do you want to quit smoking?" I'm like, "No, I gave up sugar and everything." I'm like, this is the only thing keeping me from killing people.
Well, I started thinking about losing weight. It's like, I got a cocktail channel. How am I going to lose weight if I got a cocktail channel? It means I got to give up one. I just have to drink.
It's like it's like, yeah, you need to give up this, and this to like live longer. I'm like, yeah, but if I give up all that, I don't want to live longer.
Well, from someone who's already been dead once when I was a kid from an overdose of morphine from one of my surgeries, it's overrated. Just enjoy it when I can.
All right, but if so this week we're talking about the new, I don't know if you call it a John Wick movie, but the Ballerina from the world of John Wick. My movie trailer voice. And if you've got to fight off Russian assassins, you should call in the Strike Force. StrikeForceEnergy.com. Use your promo code CigarNerds for 20% off your order. Get all caffeinated to go fight murder cults. And, well, with that, we'll be right back with the main show. And we're back. It's time to put on our tutus and talk about the Ballerina.
So Tchaikovsky, he was good in his day, but he has nothing on John Williams. Oh, we're talking about the movie, not the music.
Yeah.
I will say one thing about the John Wick movie franchise is they do stay away from a lot of pop music, except when they get into techno stuff. But even that's still generic. That it's like you're focused on the story and not like, hey, here's the new Perfect Circle song.
Yeah, other than I think is it the first one that has like a Marilyn Manson song in it? But other than that, yeah, it's very generic.
Like the John Wick Star Wars stuff. It's just like, hey, there's no pop songs in this. Anyway, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent. I just
welcome to the podcast. We should just rename it Tangents.
Well, I noticed that when I was reviewing some. I was like, okay, so I don't feel bad if I just start going off and like.
Oh no, we go like off the deep end sometimes, but I had a thought. I forgot. Ballerina, yeah. So yeah, this was kind of originally not even going to be a John Wick movie. The director of this kind of wrote it as like a spec script. He was kind of like inspired by John Wick, but hey, I want to write about this ballerina assassin, and then the studio ended up acquiring that, and they're like, well, why don't you make it a John Wick movie? Because you put IP in a title, it gets a lot more eyeballs than.
Well, it expands the lore because we saw the ballerinas in the other movies, but we don't know really a whole lot about them. Like, are the assassins too? Are they just pretty distractions? Or
now I remember what I was going to say when you were talking about the music. I wonder how many people like didn't pay attention to what this was and thought they were going to go see a movie about ballerinas. Because when I went to see it, I went to like an early like matinee showing on a Sunday, and I was the youngest person in the theater. There was like a whole bunch of grandpa and grandmas in there, and I'm like, does grandpa like violence, or did they think they were coming to see a movie about ballerinas? Then again, I'm like, Grandpa fought Nam. He probably stacked bodies. He's like, let's go see some violence. Because none of them walked out. Like, these like 60, 70, 80-year-old people are all like, they were in for it. I'm like, hell yeah.
It reminds me, when Bad Santa came out, me and my buddy went and saw Bad Santa, like a matinee, same thing. And this lady had like 3 of her kids in there. And the credits the title hadn't come up yet. He was over there throwing up against the wall, and she walked out with him. Because I think they thought it was a Santa's movie. And I was like, this is not a kid's movie.
We thought this was the Santa Claus. Where's Tim Allen?
Yeah. But yeah, that made me think. But you know what? There's a lot of beautiful people in these movies, so they probably just like, that's probably their porn.
Yeah, Grandpa's like, I want to see that Ana de Armas chick. She was hot in James Bond.
I didn't realize that she was in that that weird little movie with Keanu Reeves a few years ago.
Oh, I never saw it. Yeah, where it's like
Knocked Out or something. It's okay.
It's like a weird kind of horror-esque where it's like, he gets like basically beaten up by two random chicks that knock on his door.
She's younger and she gets a little more risque with her dress code in that one. So I'm wondering if that's how they met and how she got kind of involved in this one.
Probably. But I like, before we get into like the details of the movie, because we do spoilers here. Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen it yet, it's actually you can rent it now. It's, if you didn't see it in theaters, it is online. You can check it out.
Spoiler: the dog dies.
Yeah, I like that because this was, Chad Stahelski that directed and wrote, former stunt guy that did all the John Wick movies. He was a producer on this, and it was directed by Len Wiseman. But he did come in and help kind of tweak some things and he kind of did some, like, I guess, second unit supervision just to make sure it fit better into the John Wick world. Made sure some of the action sequences were up to par. But her character is not someone who is as legendary as John Wick. Where the first John Wick movie, Keanu got beat up a little because he was like, coming back from a retirement. But as the movies went on, he almost got superhuman. But where she is still like, let's say within the first 2 years of her career, because we see like her first mission, and it's not. So her fight scenes are a lot less polished than the John Wick fight scene. So they did a good job of not making this character like superhuman ninja lady right out the gate. She still eventually wins, but she gets her ass kicked through a lot of this movie. So it's not as like polished and like high level as one of the John Wick movies. So they did a good job of not making that mistake and making her too good right out the gate.
Well, in a weird way, it's almost like an origin story, John Wick origin story, because you're watching someone else come through the ranks of this.
Yep. Whereas
at this point, we don't want a John Wick origin story too much. But at least you get to see now.
Yeah, we don't want a de-aged CGI Keanu Reeves. Yeah,
you get to see like what he probably went through when he was younger, coming up through this stuff, trying to make a name for himself. Because all the other movies, like Halle Berry's character was kind of already known in that whole world, and what's his name? Asian martial artist.
Donnie Yen played Kane.
And I think they're going to do one movie for him.
Supposedly, yeah, he's getting a spinoff as well.
I think that'll be good.
Yeah, because there's so much detail in this world that if Keanu doesn't want to do it anymore, there's a lot of like pre-stories they can tell. Which, did you see the Continental miniseries? I missed that because I have too many streaming services as is, and I didn't want to add another one. So
when we first talked about me coming to do this, I was like, I was looking for the cocktail. I realized it was on Peacock TV, and I guess I get free Peacock TV with my Xfinity. So I signed up for it, and they have Continental on there. So, okay, cool, I'll watch it. The Continental is interesting because it's 3 2-hour shows.
Yeah.
It's one of those, like, watching it once, you're probably cool. I mean, you maybe watch it again just to get some of the details, and it's kind of basically setting up how the Continental came to be, how, what's his name who ran the Continental?
Winston.
Yeah. How he came to be and how his assistant came to be, which it was nice that this was their final send-off, him and...
Yeah, I guess they filmed his parts before he passed, so Sharon, a.k.a. Lance Reddick, who's unfortunately passed away. So it was nice seeing him.
Well, both of them passed away.
No, Winston's still around.
He passed away.
Ian McShane's dead?
Yeah, I think he died during... Jamie, pull that up. If you don't have T-shirts of that, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're definitely not in the podcast world.
Yeah,
I think he passed away too. You got the Google earlier.
Yeah, finish the thought. I'll Google while you're while you're figuring.
But anyway, what I was getting at is it was a nice send-off.
No, he's 82. He's still with us.
Oh, he is? I thought he passed away.
No, I think it was someone else from that whatever Western show he was in passed.
Oh, okay, because I thought he passed away too. Well, cool. Well, but it was glad to see...
I was like, I thought I saw him doing press for the Ballerina. Did I miss that?
Yeah, maybe. Well, people dying left and right here lately for some reason. I don't know. But anyway, it was a nice send-off for him because it's like... You're able to tie it all together and not feel like you got to replace somebody because it's in a weird time frame because it's right around the John Wick 2 movie, isn't it?
Actually, it's between
2 and 3?
3 and 4.
Okay.
Which that's another thing too that parts of it because she meets John Wick at the ballerina school, which that sequence happens in John Wick 2, but then there's a time jump.
Right.
And the final scene of John Wick happens between 3 and 4.
Right.
That's one thing I was trying to figure out because he loses his finger in 3.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm like watching the fight. I'm like, all right, is he? Yeah, all right. His finger's missing. So this happened after that, but
I didn't even notice that.
Because I was like trying to figure out because I'm like, why did he agree? Well, that's toward the end of the movie, but yeah, because I was like, the Ruscaroma hired John Wick to take her out because she's about to cause a war with another group. But I'm like, John Wick 3, he was kind of busy in 4, and he didn't rejoin the Ruscaroma until 4. So if he had not, because I'm pretty sure once that happened, he was pretty busy the rest of the film. Like, why the fuck did they hey, John, we need to do this thing. I'm like, I thought y'all kicked me out. Like, you told me this is my last favor that you're getting me out of the city, but you're done with me.
I feel like we did the, what's that meme of the guy on Always Sunny?
Oh, yeah, with the conspiracy. So I'm like, when did he, why did he do it? Did he just, hey, I know I told you to fuck off and we're not helping you anymore, but can you do me this one favor and I'll owe you one more? And be like, all right, fine. I'm not doing anything on this random Tuesday, sure.
Well, that's the thing about all this stuff is the rules seem like they change a lot, but they don't. And you're like, okay. And I was watching something that we're talking about the YouTube talking about the monetary with the gold coin. Trying to figure out the value of it because it's like, well, I might buy a cocktail with it, or I might buy a hotel room with it, or I might buy a car with it. But I think it was more or less like, hey, I'm in the know.
One service for one coin. Yeah. So it's like whether it's like I'm buying a drink or I'm paying a hitman to, or to clean up a crime scene. It's like the one, it's just the one coin. It's everything's one coin. We don't make change here.
Well, except when he cleaned up his house, I think he got like 12 coins.
But... Yeah, but I think he had like 12 bodies, so it's like a body per coin.
It's like a baker's dozen down there.
I wonder if hitman crime scene cleanup guys have like a frequent use card. It's like those punches you get at the deli. Oh, you've bought 6 I've disposed of 6 bodies. You get your 7th free.
Well, they probably make good money in this world. Cause, yeah, like I said, I just rewatched it again to kind of, get my thoughts together. Because it was interesting the way it started out. As it was, it's not, I don't know. Because she loses her dad,
Yeah, most of these movies take place within, let's say, a couple days.
Yeah.
Where this one was like multiple years. There was a lot of time jumps in this. Where John Wick, we didn't get a lot of backstory for him, but this one we're like, all right, we're giving you all a brand new character. We're gonna flesh her out for you.
Yeah. It's like she actually gets the origin story because it does set it up, but it's still just the same revenge story. Yeah. It's just that his revenge story had to do with the dog and his dead wife, and this is to her dad. And I wonder if that's some of the reason. Well, I won't get into that part of why her and John Wick had a weird interaction.
So yeah, we start off with some tatted up dude who, from the tat, you assume he's part of the world of John Wick, and his daughter living in this nice place, and rando dudes show up to like try to kill them, and so we see like a young Eve hiding in the, but she ends up killing one of the hitmans as a small child, and sees like this weird like X scar on a guy's wrist that she at the time doesn't know what it means, and we don't know from that original dialogue. It's like, dad left some kind of organization, and you don't leave said organization. That we find out what that organization is later, but as she kind of escapes and ends up in the custody of the police of whatever country they were in, good old Winston shows up and is like, hey, I represent your father's. I can either tell you everything's gonna be okay, or I can tell you the truth. Truth is, like, the world's pretty fucked up, but I represent, or I'm friends with the people that your father's people, and if you want me, I will take you to them where you can have the opportunity to do something else, or use this rage you have for better purposes. And of course takes her to the ballet school of New York.
I will say, rewatching it, and I know it's all very innocent and that's part of the whole setup, but there's a part of me is like, growing up in the 80s, you're going, stranger danger, stranger danger. Here's an old guy talking about, let me take you to your new family. And she just goes, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Like, you get it. It makes
they don't have Sesame Street in the world of John Wick. No one ever told the kid stranger danger.
Oh, but yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. Like, that was kind of a weird way they handled that. But at the same time, it made sense in the movie.
And I do like that, because it was very easy just to make her another killer.
Yeah.
But and they've done this in like the last couple movies with introducing different facets of the table world, where it's not just the hitman. We have like a whole kind of ecosystem of other people. We have the continental type, supply people. We have the kind of the intel people, and then we have in the last movie they introduced the trackers that they're not hitmen, they just find people. Well, this one even though she went to that same kind of family of the Roscaroma that John Wick was, they introduced the Kikamura, which apparently are like bodyguards in this assassin's world, which kind of makes sense. You got a whole ecosystem of assassins. You need people to like protect people. So she'll do a hit and she'll kill people, but her kind of main purpose of her training is you're going to be a protector, not just a killer. I thought that was kind of a cool new way of doing it, instead of just making her like a hardcore, assassin.
Well, that would explain why they had the basically rubber bullets for so long. I mean, for once I was like, why are you doing this? And it's like, okay, if that's their job, is not to kill people, but is to be the bodyguard, then
Yeah, it's like I'm just here to protect my principal from the other. But if the money's right, and if I got to stack up, because like you see her kind of training montage, and then you see her kind of first assignment, and then we get another like time jump where she's been doing this for a couple years, where it's like, cool, I protected my person, but I killed like 30 people to protect my person. So it's like you keep seeing her kind of level up as you go.
Yeah, one thing too. These movies are always about the new fun gadget, and I wonder if that's part of the whole reason for the rubber bullets is that it gave you a new gun gadget to kind of talk about. Because they're like, oh, there's polycarbonate, bullets with this kind of stuff, and but it's just kind of like a new gadget to show this kind of, not to get into the other cool gadgets, but this was kind of a subtle one in a way.
Yeah, it's like the safety safety gun. Oh, it's like we're gonna give you the safety gun so your training wheels come off, and then you can we'll give you the fancy freaking Terran tactical treatment.
Now, us growing up in the 80s, we would have had a John Wick gun play set that would have the safety orange tip on the front of it, and probably a jacket, a bulletproof jacket. So I'm thinking the toy line, they could have made a toy line out of these safety gun.
Oh yeah, I'm not. This is one movie that I mean, I've seen the adult action figures, like the really expensive collector stuff, but yeah, I've not seen a John Wick He-Man play set. A little too violent, I guess, for Walmart.
It had a T.J. Hooker one, so you buy the gun, it's got a badge, it's got
the 80s.
For those youngins, T.J. Hooker was William Shatner's other television role.
Yeah. Police drama back in the day during the Chips era. Yeah. I think we talked about that one time. It's like every show or at least the early 80s, you were either a cop or a private detective.
Yeah.
Those were the two.
Magnum PI.
Yeah. It's like, A-Team kind of falls into that detective type. So it's like, Chips, A-Team, Magnum PI.
They're all fighting the bad guys. Now we got the new guys who we don't know if they're bad guys or not, because John Wick isn't really a good guy, but he's not really a bad guy. It's just, they all just kind of, because we were
morally ambiguous.
Yeah. But yeah, her watching her level up was kind of interesting, because you see her get better and better, but she's still not at like the John Wick.
No, she's not someone who's done this for 30 years or however long Wick's been out. And the Ballerina theater is kind of like the cover for action, but I thought it was cool because there was during the fucking ant running across my damn fuck off during the kind of the training part, she had another friend who was like really like the best dancer there, but she struggled at the kind of the cold-hearted action portion of it, where when it shows her ballerina stuff, she sucks at being a ballerina. Right. She just doesn't give up, but she's really good at the fighting and the other skills. So like when she comes in one day and her friend is gone, they're like she was scrubbed from the program. She didn't have the heart, I guess, for it. But then you find out later on that she actually went and to become a professional. When she's out there on her own, she sees like an ad for some ballerina show, and her friend that was trying to be a ballerina assassin went full ballerina, and she's like, oh, okay, I like that that kind of dichotomy where she was like fucking falling like all the time. It's like, you're a shit dancer, but all right, you're pretty good at the fighting and the shooting part, so we can work with that as long as you don't. And the whole thing where she's like, again, and she keeps falling, and she's like, are you done? She's like, no. She's like, all right, that's the answer I wanted to hear. All right, you take a break, you're good. It was just seeing how far they could make her give up or not.
Well, in a weird way, all that ballerina stuff is very, like, it's kind of the Karate Kid training where you're doing something different, but you're like.
That shit's very physically demanding. That standing on your toes and stuff. I'm like.
Well, rewatching it, and not to get into the fight scenes yet, but her endurance to handle the fight scene. Let's just say with John Wick. The John Wick fight scenes are so long. Like, you got to have endurance, and I think that ballerina-esque where you're like, dude, you may be fighting for an hour.
Yeah.
This isn't like, hey, you punched the guy and he fell. It's like, you got to keep fighting or you're gone.
I always equate like the John Wick stuff to like video game logic where it's like you're fighting like wave after wave after wave, and eventually you'll get the mini boss, the guy that takes a little bit longer to kill before you get to like the main boss, and then there's usually a helicopter level.
And this had the same one. This had exactly that.
Oh.
I do like the way they, we were talking about this before filming, that they did treat them like training them as females and not like a girl boss kind of way. Like, no, you're fighting and you don't fight like the males do. You have to learn how to fight like a female. And what's weird, like,
you ever watch Master Ken?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Watching that scene where, like, you know, she's fighting like the dude that's like twice her size and keeps getting her ass kicked, and I think Nogi, I think, is the trainer. She's like, stop fighting like him, like fight like a girl. And she's like, oh, so when the next time they fight, she uses a little more leverage, end up kicking him in the balls and everything. And at the end of it, as she goes to walk away, she kicks him in the balls again. I'm like, Master Ken would be proud because in what does he call it? American Dough. He's like, you always re-stomp the groin. And she did. I'm like, she's been watching Master Ken.
But part of me was like, was that really necessary? Like, you feel bad for the guy for a minute. But you know what's, our friend Brian, who I went and saw it with, we were talking about it afterwards about, fighting a girl. Thinking about the Holly Berry fight, you know, because she's the same way. She's a small girl. She fought well, but she had the two dogs as that was her leg up.
Like supplementing her.
Yeah. And those two dogs were freaking awesome.
Oh yeah, the way she used them in concert with
it was like nunchucks in a way.
Yeah. But like you said, fight like a girl. Like you think, oh, we're gonna get like one of those Marvel, like, you know.
MCU.
Yeah, but it was like, no, it's like from someone who comes from a martial arts background. It's like, I understand what you're saying, because when I was much bigger, it was like raw strength will make up for a lot of bad technique. But then once you're like fighting someone who is bigger than you really have to have good technique to be successful. Yeah. And when you're fighting someone who's like way, way bigger than you, you have to basically fight to your strengths. You can't meet force with force, because you're going to, lose in that, 10 times out of 10. It's like the bigger force is going to be, if you're trying to hit force to force, the bigger force is going to win. So you have to, one of my gun instructors is like, it's mindset, technique, or is it mindset, technique, skill, and then gear? So like, good mindset and good technique will make up for maybe a little bit worse, like, skill. So you definitely have to be more tactical when you're fighting at a disadvantage.
Well, I will say, Anna de Armas, she did a really good job of doing the training, and she took an ass whooping.
Oh yeah.
But she kept getting up and get back. I think she did well. She took the assignment seriously. Like, you always wonder, to me, people like, your fight scenes are so lame, but it's like, I think with John Wick, you've got to come with it, or you're not going to. Yeah,
you got to give that little bit of a
chutzpah.
I was gonna say, like, suspension of disbelief, because like, you're like, John Wick should have been dead. Like maybe that dude to get the shit kicked out, especially that last movie. It's like, I would not be I'd been in the bed for a week after going through like a quarter of the stuff he did. But yeah, so you got a little bit of superhuman endurance.
Especially Keanu, he's not a big guy.
Yeah.
So he probably keeps taking those, whatever the pills that doctor gave him. One.
And he's not a young guy either at this point.
What is he like?
He's in his 60s.
Is he?
I mean, he's fucking better shape than I am in my 40s, but still, it's like it's got to catch up to you at some point. But yeah, in the course of her last mission that they showed, when she's kind of been doing it for a couple years, as she's leaving the venue, she gets attacked by another assassin and finally sees that same scar that she remembers from her youth, and finally goes to the director, played by Angelica Houston, smoking cigars too. So I'm like, props for that. And she's like, all right, you knew about these guys. Who the fuck are they? Like, well, they're kind of a murder cult. They don't assassinate people for money. They do it kind of for sport. But we have an agreement. We stay away from them. They stay away from us. But yeah, these guys are all like fucking psychos. It's like, stay away from them.
Now, do you know what cigars that she was smoking?
I do not, because usually if we're going to talk about a movie and there's cigars in the movie, I really try to like Google and find that out. But that was one that was not not listed anywhere that I could find. There needs to be a website kind of like for guns in movies. There's I think it's the Internet Movie Firearm Database where you can like look up a movie and it tells you like all the guns. They need that for cigars.
Well, you know, there was when I was looking up for a cocktail, they were talking about what is it whiskey?
Is it Blanton's?
Blanton's, but it's like $120 a bottle. I'm like, yeah, we're not drinking.
Yeah. Of course, you're a fancy assassin.
Yeah, we're going to drink what I can afford. Now, y'all subscribe and make our budget
we need to
better.
monetize these channels so we can.
But anyway, as you were saying,
and then of course she goes to Winston tells her like, hey, like when she was a little kid, if you ever need anything, like, here's a coin, like, look me up. So, she goes to him and it's like, hey, my director, I found these guys, like, who are they? What do they do? Like, my director won't give it. And he's like, oh yeah, he explains to her the whole cult thing. And he's like, and we have one of their guys staying at the Prague Continental. She's like, you do business with you guys? He's like, well, if you're in a tent, do you want somebody on the inside pissing out or on the outside pissing in? Yeah. So like we let them use our facilities so we can kind of keep an eye on them.
Well, it's probably a good way of saying keep your enemies close, but you don't want to sound too repetitive.
Yeah, but so she goes against wishes and heads to Prague to check out, see if she can make contact with this guy and get some more information. And when she breaks into his room, she finds a situation much like her own. He's like, no, I'm escaping the cult because I have a daughter and I don't want her growing up in this cult thing. But then, of course, the cult, puts a big enough bounty on his head that enough people decide to violate the rules. And
in Russia, the cult finds you.
Yeah. And they end up shooting him and taking the daughter and knocking her out. But yeah, it was, Norman Reedus, aka friggin' Walking Dead, aka Boondock Saints. Yeah. I saw an interview with him. He's like, I really appreciate Keanu Reeves because this is like, I need Advil all day long to pull off this shit, and he does this like all the time.
I was surprised that
he's like, I had 2 fight scenes and like I hurt.
and I was surprised he had such a small role in the movie considering his name recognition, which is fine. It worked.
Yeah, from the trailers, I expected him to be one of the like big bads.
Yeah.
And then he turned out, oh no, he's going to be someone that she ends up having to help.
And it could have been one of those things like, well, here's a part that you can do. You can film in between the other stuff, and because that's what happens to a lot of people. They're like, I got 1 day. Okay, cool. We'll put you in this little spot here, and
it's like, yeah, I want to do the thing, but I don't have time to.
Yeah.
Oh. And it's not a John Wick or World of John Wick movie without a cool gear up montage. So she goes to the
oh god, that was so great.
I mean, that's one of my favorite things from like John Wick 2, the going to the sommelier and getting all the guns at the Continental, where she goes to this, and it from the outside looks like a very like European hunting firearm seller, and he's like, oh yeah, let me hit the button and everything folds back and here's all the cool tactical shit. But then we don't get that gear up montage because they immediately get attacked in the gun dealer's office.
I'm glad they did that.
I did not expect that action sequence. And she's in a gun store and can't get a hold of a gun. She's like freaking chunking grenades everywhere because every time she picks up a gun she ends up losing it. So it's just like grenade versus gunfight.
Okay, out of all the stuff that's a little non-believable, the grenade instances were always kind of funny, but that one in particular where she's like just got that table between them. You're like,
there's a little thing called overpressure. You're gonna have some TBI after this.
Yeah, you're gonna feel that in the morning. But those guys were just gone. It's like you didn't have to worry about fighting him no more.
Yeah, and of course this. Ever since the second John Wick, where Terran Tactical came in to like help train him, and like all these movies have become ads for Terran Tactical guns. So like, yeah, she's like, I'm going on a hunting trip. He's like, big or game or small? She's like, fairly big. He's like, all right, I got the thing for you. Here's this brand new TTI Sovereign, maybe like 308 rifle. And like, oh, that's nice. That's the cool thing too, is because like you watch these, like, that's badass. And you go to like his website and it's like, I can buy the thing from that movie. It's gonna cost stupid amounts of money, but
Tangent, have you seen the guy who actually has a room that he's got all the John Wick guns?
Yes. It's the guy has like a
range in his house, and
yeah, he's like got one of the largest gun collections in the world. 'Cause they came out at SHOT Show a few years ago. It might have been during John Wick 2 or no, I think it was John Wick 3. They released this limited edition set that came with a safe, and you opened up the safe and it had like the Continental logo, and it had every gun from that movie and a pencil, and there was like a little bench inside the gun safe that had a bar that would like slide out from underneath, and that guy has that one of those sets. I'm like, oh, that is insane. And they also introduced her pistol which is a brand new Terran tactical gun, which I mean it's expensive, but it's not expensive as the last John Wick gun.
The Viper or something?
Yeah, the Pit Viper was the one from the last John Wick movie, which is like a $7,000 gun. This one's only $4,200. But I like it because he did something that unique that I've not seen on other pistols. It's built on a Glock 17, but it has a compensator that they've kind of cut the front of the slide so the compensator like really looks like it's one solid piece, and they put this kind of vent hole on the top so you can actually remove, if you're cleaning it, you can remove the barrel without disconnecting the the compensator. Because most guns, if you're running something with a comp on it, it's a bitch because you have to take that comp off if you want to take the slide off. Where this one, that vent cool, like what looks like a cool cut on the slide, it really like is so you can remove the barrel with the compensator still attached. And it's also that cool kind of steampunky bronze color too, which is fairly awesome.
Well, I remember the Viper one was cool when it came out because he actually had those two little fangs, and he actually used that as a stabbing point in the movie. And I thought, and that's interesting that they built that into it so he actually could use it as his own tool.
Did you see the Accountant 2?
I haven't watched the Accountant series yet.
Those are also good gun movies. He did John Barenthal's Loadout in that movie, and he has the Sand Viper, which is basically the Pit Viper without the spikes. It's still I think a STI 2011 based. But yeah, that's like because they have because not only can you buy the Pit, you can get he has his rifle too, and it comes with like the optics, like fully loaded, just like it is in the movie. You can buy that exact same thing. But yeah, they're like, it's like $8,000. I was like, oh, I need to win the lottery. I would just like, give me one of everything from.
But yeah, I appreciated that they did she didn't do the whole sommelier thing and they twisted your expectation because we've already seen it, 3 times?
Yeah, we expected a cool gear up montage, and it's like, nope, another fight scene. Surprise.
Yeah. I do think it's funny when she asked for the car because you can just see the guy going, oh.
Blowing up. And it's like, I know these people, but I can't tell you anything. And then they show up and blow up his business. All right, fuck those guys. I don't know exactly where they're at, but check this city.
It's funny when every time somebody gets something done to them, they're like, okay, fine, here's the information you need. Everybody wants revenge on everybody.
And that was a cool thing too, because I think it's like the town he tells her to go check out is like Alpine, I think it's like Hallstatt or something out there. And she gets there and it looks like your regular, German mountain ski town. And goes into the bar to have a drink, and like literally like everyone attacks her. It turns out no, the cult isn't in this town. The cult is the town. So it's like everyone, the fucking bartender, the mailman, like everybody is like, even the little kids are like, fuck this lady. It's like, oh, I've just bitten off way more than I can chew.
The whole fight scene was pretty funny, especially with the bartender. And that's one thing too, the whole fight like a girl thing, because I noticed she throws a lot of hammers at people and axes and everything else. It's like, even when she didn't have a gun, it's like, hey, this is what I got.
Weapons of opportunities. Yeah. Get what you can get.
But that was pretty interesting because that whole scene started there and that went on for probably 20 minutes.
It was very video game.
She shows up at somebody else's house, his kid comes out, and all of a sudden the adults come out and start shooting at her. And
yeah, because you expect like the town cops or something to be in on it, but no, it's like literally like the bus boys trying to kill you. It's like everyone in that town is like, that fight sequence. Like the script in this movie must have been pretty short because there's like a whole lot of no dialogue sequences of just
the plot's thin.
Fight.
Here's revenge. You got to kill this guy.
And of course, she eventually gets stopped and gets taken to the and they call him the Chancellor, who's like the head of the cult, or the head of, I guess, that chapter of the cult, and he's like, hey, we have lots of people here that are from different kind of organizations that want to retire, and you can come here and just be part of our murder family, our Manson family. He's like, the guy you tried to save, like, that's actually my son, and the girl that we kidnapped is my granddaughter. And it's like, oh, by the way, that's what happened to your dad. Your dad was Rosca Roma, and he married my daughter, or married someone in the cult, and he fled because he didn't want you to become part of the cult. But hey, guess what? My assistant lady that's been fighting you this whole movie, that's actually your sister, your older sister. Happy reunion.
I have a sister? The whole Star Wars thing. At least they didn't kiss.
for about 5 minutes, because as soon as, like, she escapes again, and then sister catches up to her. He's like, hey, guess what? I'm your sister. And then, of course, Grandpa's like, oh, no, I don't trust her now. Kill them both.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of trust in these movies.
Oh, but
you can trust that you're going to get killed if you don't watch your back.
But of course, he calls the Rosca Roma, and he's like, hey, your assassin's here tearing up shit. And they're like, she's rogue. We had nothing to do with this. You killed her family. He's like, well, I don't care if she rogue or not. I'm going to blame y'all for it. And they're like, hey, tell you what, mea culpa. We'll send one of our guys to take her out for you. Y'all just stay out of his way. And then, of course, Big Bad John shows up. Which, again, can't figure out at what time he had time to do this. Was it after he got thrown off the roof of the Continental and was like, I've recovered, but I'm not ready to go on restart my vengeance spree. But
was he already in Europe and that's why he got called? Or just because his name's on the title, that's why he got called?
Probably, yeah. I have no idea why. Like,
I mean, because they got this whole thing, like, like I was thinking, is that why did you call him? Because you know that he's going to do the job, or he just had to be there?
Yeah, because in the fourth movie, he rejoins the Rosca Roma so he can challenge that guy. He's like, it has to be part of a family before I can challenge him to a duel. But I'm pretty sure after that happened, he got real busy. Yeah. So it's like, did that happen before he rejoined? It was just like, hey, I know I told you to fuck off, but
I got a free weekend.
Yeah, will you do me a favor, and I'll give you one more favor. I said no more favors, but if you do me a favor, I'll do you a favor. All right, fine. I'm on my way to this country anyway to kill some other dude, but so yeah, I'll make a side quest.
Oh yeah,
that's my only complaint, is they didn't explain enough of like why John was doing this. Because I mean, he didn't meet her before. He met her during her kind of training period and tried to talk her out of it. Was like, hey, I was retired for a long time and it was a good life. Like, you've got time to not follow down my path. Like, the door is right now open. You can leave whenever you want, but that's not always going to be the case. But she's like, no, I have a mission. I'm gonna stick to it. And she's like, I want to do what you do. And he's like, looks like you already are. And I like so yeah, when Big Bad John shows up and they start they fight, and it's like he's almost just like, his attitude in that fight was like, I'm trying not to kill you. Please just go away.
He was very reserved.
Yes, he looked kind of almost annoyed. Like, listen, I understand what you're doing, but you're causing a lot of trouble. Like, and the door. We forgot to shut the door. Oh.
I'm just one-handed. God damn it. I have an analogy for that in a second. Okay.
All right.
So I have an analogy for this little fight scene. I have a brand new kitten. It's about 3 months old. Like I said, I have 2 cats. The first 2 cats don't like each other. I have a female cat who's a bitch. She doesn't like any of them. I got another one. He's 2 years old and likes to play. Yeah. And she doesn't want to play. So I was like, well, maybe I'll get him a play partner that will leave her alone. So a friend of mine had kittens. It's like, okay, let me try this and see how it works out. So watching this kitten, because I'm like, kittens are like 3 pounds and the other cat's full grown. So I'm getting to the analogy where I'm watching them play fight. And so my other kitten will sit there and be just relaxing. And the kitten will jump onto him and start biting on him. And he's just kind of like, leave me alone. And he kind of pushes him off. The kitten will jump on him again and start biting on him. And after a few minutes, the older cat finally starts biting him back. And it's just funny. I was thinking of that where like he kept pushing her away, but she would keep getting back up and trying to jump on him and fighting him. And I'm like, yeah, that's my cats. That's my new kitten who doesn't understand, the relationship yet. He's still trying to learn to fight. Like you can definitely tell he knows when to be reserved, but she doesn't yet. She's still holding on to that anger, trying to fight. Like she can't fight them yet, so she's fighting John Wick. Instead of like trying to work with him to like, hey, help me fix this, she wants to fight him. Maybe to prove something, or maybe she's just...
Yeah, because he's kind of like the legend, especially in the Roscaroma of like, she's like, I want to prove myself. But also she's like, I'm committed to this course of action. You're not going to be able to dissuade me. Kind of like when she was kept failing at dancing and she kept getting, and she's like, are you done? No. And he finally kind of gets her like contained. And she's like, listen, like, this is the why I'm doing this. And he's like, I know, but I don't care. I've got to stop you. She's like, but you would do the same thing pretty much. He's like, fine. I said I would kill you by midnight. You've got till midnight to finish this. Or I'm going to have to finish you. So, I'll give you that time to wrap this up. And then, he helps without helping. He's like, all right, I'm going to at least make this fight fair. And he gets, finally picks up that badass rifle that she bought and never got a chance to use. And he's like, sniping the people from a distance, just kind of keeping her on. And then, of course, it's, they brought him there. They had to give him his own fight sequence. So eventually the assassin guys are like, oh, fuck, it's John Wick. We can make a name for ourselves, even though our boss told us not to do anything. Well, let's take out John Wick. And so he ends up getting a nice little mini John Wick fight scene.
Well, it's funny, and not to skip over it, because he does end the coolest fight in the whole thing, which is kind of like, because it wasn't ending. I guess if you want to get into
something I have never seen in a movie. I've seen people use flamethrowers, but I've never seen a flamethrower versus flamethrower gunfight.
Yeah, it wasn't Tarantino cool. Where it's just killing everybody in the room.
Yeah, it's usually like one person going in there, and flamethrower is not really a tactical weapon. You don't see a lot of gunfights with flamethrowers. It's usually very one-sided. But yeah, a flamethrower versus flamethrower fight was insane. I'm like, give this movie props for doing something that I had not seen before. I mean, that's one thing that made the whole John Wick series famous is like, we come from like the 80s action time where people's not even aiming. They're firing from the hips. The guns like never reloaded, where you actually saw real gunfighting techniques and real gun manipulation, doing reloads, fixing jams and stuff. It's like very still movie flair to it, but realistic technique wise because that's the one thing, like I grew up in law enforcement. I grew up in gun stuff. If I see bad gun handling or bad police work in a movie, it takes me out of it. It's like my mom's a nurse. She cannot watch medical stuff because she's like, that's bullshit. So like, I really appreciate the effort they went into to make all these look as realistic as possible while still being Hollywood entertaining.
Right. I will say, the funny thing about this being a Ballerina, there was a moment where they had the flamethrowers, but they're going in a circle. The camera's above top. Was a very Ballerina-esque look to it, where it's kind of like, oh, it was very cinematic and kind of beautiful in this weird...
Yeah, it was like they were painting a picture, but with flamethrowers. Yeah. It was... Which they kind of did that in the last movie. They had that the flamethrowing shotgun shootout where they shot it...
The Dragon's Breath.
They shot it overhead, so it looked very much like a video game run through. It was like... It looked like some of those third-person like shooter games. I was like, okay, I've not seen them do that in a John Wick movie. So it's like, it seems like every one of these films they try to bring something a little bit different. Right. And that's one thing I like about this movie in particular, but other movies where you have former stunt guys that have become directors.
Right.
So it's like, we want to make this a good cinematic movie, but we want to be true to kind of our origin of stunt work, and really highlight those elements.
Well, that's the thing with the Tom Cruise and the Mission Impossible is like, we got this story, but we got this one set piece that is our main stunt that's going to go on that Tom Cruise, does. I give him props, man. He
especially that last one. I was like, that was like long sequences where there's not even like really a soundtrack. It's just like him doing like insane ass shit that is like a man of his age should not be. Cause I know Keanu, he does a lot of his stuff, but he has a team of stunt guys too for like the really, really insane shit. Right. But Tom Cruise doing it all himself, and it's like that dude's insane. Like, in fact, I forgot who was it, because this last one that came out was his last movie, and he was like, I don't want the series to continue unless I think Glenn Powell would be a good replacement for me, and Glenn Powell was like, fuck no, I ain't doing that shit. My mom wouldn't let me. It's like, unless I can do it like you do it, I'm not doing it, and like I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah, I think that's part of what makes Hollywood. And, you know, this is that set piece that makes because this movie itself is just, you know, it's was it Atomic Blonde? You know, like that would have been a good John Wick kind of movie. It's the same kind of style, but, you know, I don't think it had the same set piece that like the John Wick friend. We got to have this one piece that everybody walks away going, I haven't seen that before. You know.
Yeah, it's like they constantly in this series just kind of one up themselves each time, and it's gotten kind of ridiculous. They've had to one up themselves, but it's still fun.
Yeah,
and that's especially a good, you know, I don't know if you count this as a summer movie because it's kind of in the early summer, but sometimes I don't want to think when I go to a movie. You know, I just want to have fun, and these are always been. It's kind of like the Fast and the Furious. Those things are ridiculous, but they're fun.
Yeah.
So it's like as long as you don't try to like think too much into it, it's like, all right, let me just go. An old spectacle. It's an old school spectacle.
Now I do wonder, not to get too far ahead and a little bit of spoiler, but not really. I wonder if Gabriel Byrne is his name, the cult leader.
Yeah.
I wonder if he had it. You can't burn me with a flamethrower because, you know, he got burned up in Hereditary. Have you seen Hereditary?
It's been a while.
Well, that's how he died, was getting caught.
He's like, I want to die a different way this time. Yeah. Just shoot me in the face.
Like, come on, I've already done this. Give me some other.
Oh, and they got the. I always talk about the mini boss. You know, his right hand man. I can't remember what his name was, but he was like, yeah, the biggest dude. Like, yeah, he's the other half of the flamethrower fight, and she finally runs out of fuel, and that's when, you know, John Wick's like, all right, let me snipe this guy because.
Well, she fights him with water.
Yeah, she finally when she runs out. Yeah, she grabs the water hose and almost puts it out, but yeah, he's like, John's like, all right, let me help you out a little bit on this one.
I'm not interfering, but I'm not.
we're going to keep the fight even.
Yeah, that did kind of end that one very quickly.
And I like the whole the set design of the like I said, everyone in the town being a bad guy. That was interesting. That it like literally it's like there's no safe zone in this because like literally everyone in this town is part of the cult. And I always like in these John Wick movies where they do low tech stuff. It's like, and that's I guess really the only secure way to do things in this world of like hackers. So it's like when you see the people that the operators that take the hits and stuff, everything's on paper and or old school like Apple computer, you know, non-internet enabled computers.
Everything's been pushed through.
Everyone has a pager, and there's no smartphones.
Yeah.
And even in this, the kind of security for the town, instead of having a bunch of cameras, they got one dude in a watchtower with like 100 freaking telescopes. I think the character's name is the Eye, you know, and he's like the one like calling out on the PA, like, "Hey, she's here." She's.
I wonder. You ever watch Top Secret? I think it was Top Secret, where the guy had the magnifying glass in front of the eye, and he took it away, and his eyeball's real big.
Yeah,
I was expecting that to happen. But
but yeah, that's that dude in the tower with like all those those scopes.
But yeah, that was probably the best fight scene or set design, because after that it's pretty much we're basically at the end of her finishing her goal.
Yeah, so she saves the little girl, kills the guy responsible for her father, and then like John calls the director and he's like, "It's done." Is she dead? He's like, "No, he is, but it's done." She's like, "All right, whatever." It's
yeah, it was kind of
it still works out.
It was kind of like you couldn't tell on her face if that was a good thing or a bad thing, or like, because it is set up if they wanted to expand.
Yeah, because she's like, it kind of looked like, all right, I'm happy that she's alive because I have some kind of feelings, motherly feelings toward her, but the family comes first, and I couldn't keep her and sacrifice the family. So, all right, since the family's good, I'm good with her. But unfortunately, the cult is like, you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can. Well, so he's like, there's not just one of us. You take me, they're still the rest of them are gonna come. And so you see her back at she goes to see her friend in her ballet performance, and she's like, happy her friend, and then all of a sudden you see the $5 million bounty on her, and all the pagers and stuff start going off. She's like, well, I guess I'm gonna go back to the Continental now.
Well, what's funny though, you know what, the cult come after those, like, you never know. The cult could be, if he's just that one guy controlling it, then they may just go on about their lives. Then again, they may want revenge. So you don't know if they're like,
yeah, did they have more than this one town? Is there other
yeah?
Is there the American branch of the cult? Is there the South American branch of the is there?
They want the Death Star to Ewok celebrate.
Yeah, it's like is there other did someone who, if anybody survived in that town, took over the cult, or if there's another chapter of the cult that's like, no, we're gonna, because they never really explained who put the hit out on her. It just shows the hit going in, so you don't know if it's the cult buying it, or if maybe even the Ruscaroma is like, we got this loosed end, so we don't want her tarnishing our name. So yeah, they left that open to interpretation. It never really showed who.
Yeah.
And of course we find out Reedus's character did not die. He just got shot, and so she's able to return the daughter to her father, and like she was unable to do with her own father. So,
well, and I think they left it because they could do another if they wanted to, or it just adds to the lore, the John Wick lore.
Yeah, whether this is a one-off or we get a Ballerina 2, or if
she shows up in one of the other.
Yeah, spoiler alert. John supposedly died. I'm making big air quotes in the last movie, but there's already a John Wick 5 scheduled. So, so I'm like, yeah, maybe he's just kind of, laying low. Hell, she may show up in the next John Wick movie. Who knows?
Well, he fell off that building. If he didn't die of falling off that building,
and you never see him you see him sit down, but you never see him clear death. And even at the end where they're standing over his grave, and it's the Bowery King and Winston, he's like, I wonder where he's at, up stairs or downstairs, and Winston just kind of smirks. He's like, who knows? No, he's at the Continental in room 303. Hi, chilling.
On a side note of the part of the John Wick thing, I've enjoyed watching on YouTube people's reaction or compilation reaction videos. And they always do the clip of the son going to visit the dad and finding out about the Baba Yaga and him telling the pencil story. And it's funny because we watched it so many times that we kind of got numb, kind of watching, Darth Vader's your dad. But watching these people who have never seen it before and they don't know what's happening, and you're watching them it's coming, they watched the dog die, and they're freaking out, and then all of a sudden, but I love the part where the son, the dad starts whooping him, and they're like, what the hell's going on? It's like, no, you don't understand what you just did.
Yeah, you think it's just this normal dude, kind of did you ever see Nobody?
No.
That's a good one, where it's the guy's super mild mannered, and his house gets broken into, and he tries to go after the people that because they stole a watch from his child. And in the course of this, he ends up beating the shit out of these dudes on a bus. It turns out they're the son of the mafia boss. Well, it turns out this little mild-mannered guy that's an accountant or something is some ex-CIA hitman. So he's when the mafia comes after him, he's like, I've been trying to retire and be a normal life. Now I got to go fuck all these dudes up. So it's very much that.
The beekeeper, I'm sure.
The beekeeper.
With Jason Statham cannot get out of those movies, but he does.
I'm a beekeeper.
He does a great job of those movies. But that was a John Wick. Basically, I enjoyed the beekeeper. It was kind of a knockoff, but it was that same kind of thing. It's I'm just trying to live a peaceful life and get pulled back in.
It's a Jason Statham movie. He has a. They're all different. They're all entertaining, but they all have a Jason Statham formula. You know what you're gonna get out of most Jason Statham movies.
Oh, well, we're just talking about the car movie.
The Transporter or Gone in 60 Seconds. Not Gone in fucking Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, it's that. Jason Statham was his own Fast and Furious. What's gonna happen. But no, I enjoyed the Ballerina. I do wonder if it was a standalone, would it be as enjoyable if it wasn't tied to the John Wick franchise?
Yeah, would it have gotten the eyeballs if it was a complete kind of solo adventure?
Because Charlize Theron really held the Atomic Blonde one on her own. I don't know,
Ana de Armas is famous, but I don't know if she's like.
This is her first foray into.
Yeah, she's been in a lot of, I want to say like ensemble movies where she's a lead, but she's not the lead. Where, this is kind of like, I think the first thing I've seen where she's like the main character.
Yeah, and she was in James Bond, but not a big scene of action and stuff. If she does it right, she can find herself into that action genre because there's not a lot of females doing action genre.
No, not anymore that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, J-Lo did a few things back in the day, but she's
got her own issues
getting up there.
Well, same with Charlotte Theron, she's getting up there too. Well,
I mean, hell, she's just got that Old Guard 2 just came out, which that the first one was good. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch the second one yet, but. Yeah, she still pulls off some action stuff. But yeah, she kind of like there's several actors that started off doing something completely different and have become action stars. That it'll. I mean, Chris Pratt was like a comedic actor. Now he's like big action dude. Hell, Jamie Foxx is like turned into a pretty badass action dude too, from being like a comedy guy and a music guy. And now he's like, was it Day Shift to that with a freaking vampire action movie. That stuff was badass.
The movie with him and Tom Cruise, where Tom Cruise is
Collateral.
That was a good movie because I enjoyed seeing Tom Cruise as kind of a bad guy.
Yeah, it's like him as a bad dude. He does a good job as a bad guy. I mean, like I was not expecting that out of him.
Could you imagine they put Tom Cruise in the last John Wick as maybe the high big baddie?
Yeah, when you finally meet the actual high table, it's like it's Tom Cruise from.
Although they are doing the Tom.
But that's another movie where good gun handling stuff. He really trained well for that movie.
Well, tangent. They're going to do what is it? He did the Ross Perlman. Was it Ross Perlman? He was the producer guy and the what is the movie? Tropical Thunder.
Oh yeah.
They're going to do a spinoff movie with him as
that character was funny as shit. That's another one that I did not expect out of Tom Cruise being that guy.
But I think they're doing a spinoff with him.
I will go scorch the fucking earth. You will have to get a fucking UN binding resolution to stop me.
Talking about the whole John Wick thing and people, is it in 4 or 3? The one MMA guy that they put into the fat suit.
It's in the 4th one. Yeah, that guy is like, he can move for a fat man. It's like a legit UFC fighter is a fat suit.
Kingpin from Spider-Man kind of thing, where it's like, here's this big guy, you're thinking he's all slow, but he's like fighting, he had to learn how to fight in that fat suit, but still, like, he made it like, that's something you didn't expect. Like, here's this big fat guy who's just as, took on John Wick just as...
I won't say former fat man because I'm still kind of fat, but as a fatter man, that was always fun when like people expected me to be slow and they're like, oh shit, like I just got kicked in the face. How did this happen?
I enjoyed it. I rewatched it again. There are a lot of things you're expecting. It's got a lot of the John Wick stuff. I don't know if making a sequel to hers is worth it.
Yeah, she kind of wrapped her story, but there's enough. I mean, we can see her having to fight off waves of assassins now that this bounty's on her. So they could. I mean, it's Hollywood. It all depends on money. If this made a bunch of money, then yeah, we'll probably get a sequel. But they did get a good job of if they didn't return to that character. They wrapped her story up pretty good, but left enough loose ends where we could get a sequel, if not a full sequel. Her showing up in somebody else's film, because I like that character.
Her revenge story, was bookended where John's is not.
No, he's
he can still keep going further. So, anyway, overall, I thought it was worth the watch.
So, as we kind of wrap here up, what's the final thoughts on your first cigar back there?
It was pretty good. It tasted like smoke, and it inhaled okay. No, I mean, I don't know enough about cigars to tell like what's good, what's bad, but I enjoyed it. It's part of this is the social aspect. Sometimes I like drinking. It's like I've enjoyed it. It wasn't like I'm going to throw up or anything. So
yeah, I've had them because the Macanudo Inspirato, it comes in a couple different ones. There's like a green label, a red label, a black label, and a white label. Where the orange is kind of the medium. It's a little more creamy, so it's a good like middle of the road cigar. It's not too light, and it's not on like the red is like the heaviest of that kind of line.
You didn't want to take a couple puffs and just throw it out. You're like, oh, this is too much. And it was also kind of short, so it was good for. That's the one thing about a lot of cigars. They're very, you get these long ones. Like, golly, I've got them like just cut them in half. He's like, I'll smoke 2 of this. Where I think with Ron White gets those cigarillos.
Yeah.
Because same thing. He just smoked a cigarillo because he actually can finish it.
Yeah, it's like I only have a certain amount of time. The Illicit Black Market. This has got a little peppery, which I do like a peppery cigar. Kind of oaky and like a savoriness to it. This actually would pair. I mean, it paired good with the cocktail we're having, but yeah, this would be a good whiskey cigar because it's got that or a bourbony cigar because it's got that oakiness to it, which I do like. And it's not super. I mean, it says it's their strongest in the line, but it's not. At least for my palate, because I smoke. It's like working out. If it doesn't hurt a little, you're not doing it right. So it's not as strong as I'm used to, but it's strong enough to keep me entertained. It's definitely on that plus side of medium plus to me. But yeah, it's definitely worth a try. You should check one of those out. And with that, we'll be right back. And you've been watching the Cigar Nerds podcast. Check us out on cigarnerdpodcast.com and on the ESO Network, esonetwork.com. And don't forget, smoke them if you got them. Like, comment, and subscribe.